broken again. I swear this system is crapped out. How bad is it? It's bad. Okay, let me just get auto controls back up and running. I'll just duck out of the way. You know, I should have set up that TV in the sky. So, and hopefully we'll break. So I've since last benching the card, I've finished configuring my Windows. Install. No, not quick capture. No, this is probably gonna crash. Oh, this is great. Nope. 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 Just close. There we go. But I have the webcam controls, so that's good. Advance. There we go. Okay, lighting actually works now. So I don't have to mess around with anything. I'll just open up the stream again. And let's get to this. Modding, great. So turn up the soldering station, get this crap out of the way. There's the bin, and I missed. This will be just a simple case. We're going to tear everything down again. And hot glue is really easy to remove. You just... Okay. So usually hot glue comes off really easily, but it looks like this PCB especially hooks up well to it, so... Yeah, this will be a bit trickier. So this PCB being matte actually sticks really well with hot glue. That's somewhat annoying because I was relying on this being removable. Because hot glue usually doesn't stick at all on the smooth PCBs, but whatever. I'll get it off. So for hot glue, you can just set your soldering station to a lower temperature, about 150 degrees. Otherwise you'll be burning it and that'll, well, suck. So my pen's currently at 180. This is going to take a while to draw. I'm going to see if I can just run it into the heatsink. Alright, that's another benefit of using heatsinks. You can try run the heat from the pan into it, but yay, here we go. So that's all good, and we already have hot glue everywhere. Let's start de-hot gluing everything. I'm just gonna try to dig under this. Just dig it out with the pen. And it seems like we're too high up, but the soldering station doesn't go lower, so that's bad. There we go, and it's coming right off. There. So basically, if you have a temperature-controlled soldering pen, you can completely undo hot glue. Just fine. There we go. Now that's one potentiometer out of the way. I'll figure out to clear off the hot glue later. First we pull everything off, we desolder it, then we're soldering it onto, actually no, not soldering it onto, gluing it onto this. That's that. So let's get the other one. And by the way, this plastic is rated way above what hot glue melts at. So hot glue melts at 150. The plastic in most potentiometers, like these, this black plastic is for like 300, 250 or something. So you're safe as long as you have a temperature controlled pen, which I really recommend you do have because it does help a lot. There. And that's the other one. And yeah, and as you can see, your tip's going to end up covered in crap, so you're going to have to figure out, like, clean that off later. There's a couple ways you can do it. I generally just crank up the soldering pen to soldering temperature levels and then, like, dump it in solder. That tends to get the hot glue to burn off, but also the solder cleans up your tip. So that's nice. That's the way I do it. I don't know if there's any other ways to do it. And this one is really well attached. So, yeah, I should have been more janky when I attached these. let's see. Can I just... Oh, there we go. This one just pops right off. Yeah, see? So this is what... If you... Yeah, often enough it'll just pop right off, so that's good. So I can just put a screwdriver to this one. Pull that out. And I'll be figuring out some kind of connector for this. I'll probably put the connector at the end of the card. So let's pull this off. And that one pops right off because, you know, easy to put force on it. This one, not so much. Let's untighten all these wires. Pull the wires free. Freedom, and for the measuring wires. So yeah, and I don't have these labeled. That's kind of an issue, but whatever. Let's see if I can force this out. You know, I can't. So again, just do it with your soldering pen. Try and melt the glue on one side, and try to melt the glue on the other. Should come off. Make sure you don't scratch the PCB because that would suck. It's not like you're gonna really do any damage to it, but it's better if you don't. This really doesn't want to come off. Yeah, and at 150 I just touched the pen. You won't even burn yourself if you don't outright hold the pen. So that's relatively... Okay, I'm going to try to get this with a knife. Because obviously the pen's getting nowhere. And then I'm going to do... you can use a razor blade. This is basically like delidding a CPU, except less risky. There. Popped right off. And pulled most of the hot glue with it. So yeah, obviously you want to clear off this mess somehow. You can probably just try peeling it off, right? It just comes right off. It's hot glue if you keep picking at it. And you don't want to use anything metal, not even a hard plastic. You just want to, like, your nail is fine, but you don't want to damage the PCB of the card when you're removing stuff like this. So yeah, no metal, absolutely no metal for these major removals. When you're just trying to get the knife in, that it's not too dangerous. For these main parts, once you don't have anything there that you're going up against, then you don't want to do that, because you might damage the PCB, and that would suck. So, as we can clearly see, I can't actually extend the cable to where I wanted to. I guess I'm going to put the connector where most of the old hot glue is. And for the connection, I'm thinking of just using... No, because that would make this card multi-slot again. So you could just dangle the connector off of the card. So here's the thing. We're going to be running... I'm going to actually start building up the... I'm going to now do the desoldering, and I'll figure out when to place the connector later. Alright, and at the end of this, the card will be somewhat less awkward to use, much more convenient to run. That'll be much more useful in my opinion, even for me, because I can just sit, like, I don't have to get up and, like, measure with the multimeter while standing and stuff. Because this thing does all my multimetering for me. There's not a lot of multimetering to do. If you wanted to be more creative with one of these, you could somehow mount it to the card, but you'd need a new housing, and I don't have the means to do that, make one of those. So I'm just going to go and use this as a little front panel, or, well, panel for the card. First up, this thing only has 2 measuring channels, right? And it's kind of awkward, but which is why I'm going to use a switch. And these are just some 3-way switches that I got. As you can see, 3 settings. And that's because I wanted to, if I also wanted to measure the auxiliary VRM, I can measure it with this. So, you know. But for now, I'm just going to do 2. And these really smell for some reason. I have no idea why, but they smell really bad. So yeah, that's that. And I'm just going to glue it on, right on top here. Actually, no, that's not the top. right on the top there, right? And then probably figure out to like give it some kind of little legs made out of something. I'm not sure what yet. So yeah, I'll just glue this up top. So that'll be the voltage switch. Then I'll put the potentiometers on the sides because, well actually no, well yeah, because the potentiometers are longer so I can mount them further back, but this needs to be rammed on the edge. Or I can put the potentiometers next to it. So to actually get me that much freedom, I'm just going to glue it on right here. So where's the hot glue gun? There. And I'm going to power it on. And so I'll wait for that to heat up. And meanwhile, let's desolder all this crap. Because it's moving, and we're going to need to extend the cables. That means let's de-hot glue the pan. So first, I'll just try scraping it off. That probably will work. Right? Yeah, that doesn't work, so just crank the heat up. Get some solder. And burn it right off. It smells quite nasty, but you know, it's just a little bit, so. And yeah, this part you might want to do in a well-ventilated area, because I have no idea if hot glue is poisonous or not. But there we go. Got solder all over it. Let's mix it in with some of the older solder. And there. Should come right off. There, and the tip's good again. I mean, it's smoking from all the excess hot glue, but, you know, now it's actually usable again, so. At this point, we can start desoldering things. So first up, limiting resistors. These are too powerful. I'll just take them right off. Now when you're desoldering things, you might want to have actual like solder on your pan because it helps with thermal transfer. Here, that came right off. And now I have no solder on my pen again, so let's get some extra and this resistor off. And I'll just have it there. See? And that's done. Let's do this wire here. And so this was the 50K, right? That's the 50K, this is a grounding cable. We only need one of these going out. So basically how many wires you're going is you're doing one grounding cable, right? One core voltage, one memory voltage, one and then one overvoltage core, overvoltage memory. So there's just 5 wires that you need to hook up. And so I'm just going to figure out some 5-wire connector that I'm going to use. I was originally thinking maybe going with an Ethernet cable. I might still do that, but I don't know where I'll get an extra Ethernet port, so that's kind of awkward. I could always go just with a Molex connector. They do 4. They're plentiful, so yeah. So now we got that one desoldered, let's desolder the other one. So first get the wires, then I'll do the resistor. Come on, come off. There. That's done. These were overpowered. These were way too much. I think they were 4.7 10K or something like that. And yeah, they were too much. So that's that. That's all desoldered now. So now let's put everything on the control panel. So I'll start with the switch. And now with the switch, you gotta be careful because the switch has right here, like it uses a ball to actually switch. So if I put glue over the little slot in it, right? There's a little slot in there. I put glue over the slot, no good. Sucks. So I'll just glue it right on. without actually, and I also can't hit the edges. Well, glue it one slot side down, and I'll give it a little bit of a gap. Well, I don't need to give it a little bit of a gap, but you know, I need to avoid putting too much glue on there, so just a little quick move. Now this is metal, so this hot glue is way more difficult than plastic. There. Because it sucks up all the heat out of your hot glue. And just gently go down the edge. You don't want to glue the thing. You don't want to glue the functional parts, so yeah, it switches. Does it switch if I goody? It's kind of wobbly right now, but that'll be resolved in one more hit of hot glue on this side. There. And again, just very lightly. You don't want to catch the mechanism inside with the switch. So now I don't remember how this switch actually works. So I'll go and check over with my digital multimeter. Because, you know, the lazy way is the best way. It's good in theory to stare at it and keep switching it back and forth and figure out eventually how it works, but this is easier. So I'll just do it this way. Hit this one. Okay, so, right, this position, and if I'm not mistaken, this one works very simply. So this outer pin to center, 0. Means this next one will be center to first outer, 0. Center to outmost, 0. Great, okay, so I know how this works again. So how's this switching? So this middle pin is what we wire to the input, the positive input of this, and then we pull the negative one to ground. So that's very simple to do. Because this is a screw terminal, so that just means we need a little bit of wire up here. Which means get the spool of wire again, and just the good old cut a bit of wire. And here I'm going to go with very short, because obviously I don't need a whole lot of extra. There's not much I can screw up here. There's not a lot of choice. This is where it mounted. So from there to here, just sort of eyeball it. Gonna get it there. Now, strip it, tin it on both ends, because screw terminals do not like loose strands. Like, they do not play well with those. So, yeah, so I'm gonna crank up the pen again. You want to conserve your tip on your soldering pen, you turn down the heat on it when you're not using it. It lowers the wear and tear on it. Okay, and I'm going to tin all the terminals on the switch. So there, that's good. That's good. Let's start tinning. And I need to get this out of the way so I don't know what to get over. Ta-da! And turn this off. Don't want to waste any more battery. So this, ah, there we go. It will. One pin. Go. So that's center, and I'm going to use the two only pins on one side because I feel like using all. I don't need all of the pins yet, so I'm just going to use them on one side. And I just arbitrarily decided that I'm going to use this side, so that's what I'm doing. Ta-da. There we go. That way I have all the wires coming from the same area, sorta-ish. And yeah, so this switches. Nice. It got kind of warm from that. It doesn't have a lot of heat capacity. And now let's tin the little wire. And since we're tinning a wire, that means lots of flux again. And I got my solder roll right here. Let's get to it. Fluxed. Flux this. Get some solder. Tin the wire. Ta-da. Just roll it a little fast. There we go. I have freaking little strings of hot glue everywhere. Those are the biggest pain with using it. Alright, and I want this one to go to center. There we go. That there's done. There. That's all wired up. Now let's just pull it down to the screw terminal, and it looks like I need to do enough wire on now. Actually, I can just pull this out, screw it on, and then try to plug it in. Maybe I need my smaller screwdriver. Will this one work? Oh, it will. You know what? It won't. Actually, it will. If I just get the right pitch for it. Small. There we go. This one will work. Oh yeah, it will. Now let's just get this. This part is somewhat infuriating, because these things don't get stuck properly. And this terminal honestly isn't the greatest in terms of quality. This whole thing is really, really budget, this controller is, but it works. I tested it. Check that it measures. It does indeed measure voltage around 2 volts, and it's not inaccurate. So, you know, it works. There. Now let's just pop that in. There. And now we have the switch wired up. So this way, no voltage readings. This will read 1 voltage. This will read another voltage. That's great. Oh yeah, and I need a 12 volt line, so that means I need a 6 pin. Right, and I think I'm going to put the potentiometers up top. Nah, that's going to overhang. So I'm going to put them again on the side, right, because that just sort of looks better to me. And I guess you could run it this way or whatever. Yeah. If I get little legs for it, I could have put them far back, because these are just long. That's the biggest problem in them. And if I get some kind of feet for this thing, which I could probably just make out of some screws. Oh, that's what I'll do. Get some screws and make feet for it. Okay, so yeah, that's decent length wire. That's the first wire I ever have actually cut to length. Let's pop these on. So again, just hot glue them right on. And these are plastic, so these are easy to hot glue since they don't cool down quickly. So now that they're ready, there. That's 1 voltage control. And I just hot glued the side which says, well, boom. Okay, well, if I figure out this one is the 50K, so that's the 250. And that's memory. That's nice. Okay, so now I'll hit it with more hot glue just to make sure that it stays in place. Doesn't decide to leave one day when I'm using it, which I probably won't be, but yeah. And then I'll show you how this actually would work in practice. I'll hook it up to my main system and just show you what this would look like. Pull this dot off. This dot is huge. There we go. Hot glue on the bottom. Alright, so with hot glue, it does last liquid pretty long. So you can just sort of, there. I want these to be sort of the same direction. I want the same messes on that GPU. There we go. L's are glued together. On the back, now get them on the side, and down here, like that. Yeah, so this is not the best looking thing. Obviously you could get a housing for it of some kind. made, but I don't have a 3D printer, so, and I don't know how to make a housing otherwise for this, so, yeah, I'm just gonna go with hot glue everything. I hope that it doesn't look too bad. There. And honestly, it doesn't. So this is what the control panel is going to look for, like this card. And this one's core voltage. This one's memory. There. This is also really convenient if you're doing liquid nitrogen overclocking, because you don't have your voltage controls and you have the liquid nitrogen. So you don't risk like nicking your hand on the pot or anything cold. That's convenient there. Yeah, these are pretty steady. Hot glue's holding them well. Nice and smooth surface, so if you ever wanted to tear it down, you could pretty easily. And now it's just solder it back together again. And figure out a connector for it. So obviously Molex doesn't work. I can't use SATA either, even though it does run 5 lines, but I can't. For my convenience, I was thinking of doing a VGA cable, since I have an old VGA motherboard, that I could tear some of the stuff, I could tear the connector off of that, so let's just do that, yeah, because VGA cables have plenty of connections that I can use. At least I hope. But they should. So. I have a spare VGA cable. I definitely do. So here's today's poor unfortunate sacrifice. It's an old crappy motherboard from some old crappy computer. It's actually from my friend's old crappy computer. From Mr. Guest's old crappy computer. So yeah, let's tear this thing down. I just want the VGA connector. As you can see, I've practiced desoldering on this board, and it's generally wrecked in all shapes and forms. I also pulled the battery, so I have a spare battery. It's dirty, it's disgusting, it's a terrible, terrible board. And honestly, I don't need this thing in a good shape by the end of this. And it's really heavily soldered. I don't feel like using the 150 watt today. Actually, I never feel like using the 150 watt. That thing is a freaking pain to work with. Gave me pretty much all of my serious burns from soldering are due to that soldering iron. So, me and that iron aren't on the best of terms. Let's get this pulled apart. First up, let's get these screws out, because there's metal plates holding the connector together. And I'll put them back on, but while I'm taking it apart, they're really inconvenient to have there. So, let's go. There we go. So I just use the pliers to catch the little nuts that you would use to secure a VGA connector. And now I'm just going to tear it down. And that means these metal plates should be loose by now. It means I can pull them right off. And I can't. If anything could ever be easy, that'd be great. As you can see, these metal plates go into the motherboard. They're going to be hard to rip out, so I'm trying to get them out now. But that doesn't seem to be working, so let's see. Get that one out. If I just had wire cutters, but I don't. Just should have bought those. Oh well. Yeah, and these VGA connectors, so it's overkill, I think, for this. And I think I could just use the Ethernet. Well, Ethernet also is overkill, and it's actually harder to pull off. So that wouldn't make my life easier. So let's just pull this one off. There we go. That's the plastic got on. And some of the wiring. I'm just twisting it out, twisting it into oblivion, so, you know, it just snaps after a while if you twist the wires enough. There we go. That's more of them gone. I wonder if a hammer could do this better. Ugh. Okay, I need finer pliers. There. Alright, let's keep going. So I've completely wrecked that connector. Now it's just a case of ripping it out, which means I need to get through these metal plates. And by the looks of it, those metal plates are trapped under other metal plates. So that's not nice. Metal is relatively easy to twist into giving up, so that's easy enough. And there we go, and that's the last one left, and the connector will be free. There we go, done. Here we have a VGA connector, and as you can see, it's kind of wrecked. So my genius idea to try to use a VGA connector might not have been that great after all. So, let's see. You could run 2 of the pins for 12 volts maybe. Because the thing is, what I'm really annoyed with these things, they don't give a current spec on them. Right? It's just like, it uses 12 volt DC. And I have no idea how much power it needs. So it might be able to run off of one of these wires and then everything would be nice and simple, but... oh, whatever, I'll just do it with Molex connectors. So these are coming back on. And I'm just going to get a Molex connector. Because that obviously isn't going to work, those are too hard to solder. So I've managed to completely run out of male Molex connectors. I only have these female ones. Freaking annoying. Shred some off of that? Nope. No, there should be one of them. These PCs. So that's annoying. That would mean, so one of these goes power, and then the other one would have been data. And I guess... oh wait, I do have a dead power supply. I could use the cables from that. Yeah, okay, that's what I'll do. A bunch of power supplies, so you know, cables are easy to come by. So basically this cable will just go onto the graphics card, and as you can see this is from an 8-pin adapter, so I'll use a 6-pin adapter. Now this is an 8-pin too. This one has less wires. There. So basically I'll just be using this thing for all the So this is just regular old Molex power connector, so we'll just hook this right back up. So this will be kind of awkward to use outside of a PC right now. But on a test bench it's fine because you can just pull a Molex line from your power supply. So that's easy. But in a normal PC, yeah, it's not the most convenient design I've made. Ideally I'd want some kind of proprietary 5-pin connector because obviously this isn't supposed to, like, I'm using a Molex connector for data. Never ever plug that Molex connector into power. Which, if you're building like PCs on like autopilot, where you just sort of plug in everything with the right connectors, yeah, that would suck, wouldn't it? That would instantly fry your card, because that's 12 volts to the core, or whatever, 12 volts to the controller or something, and then you're screwed. So maybe it might be a good idea. It actually is a good idea. So what I'm going to do is multimeters run as a as basically a data system, right? They only run. They have power to do their readings and to do the math and the processing, but more importantly, they run like when you hook them up to something, they don't pull any power from it. Which means we can just put resistors on the other connector, which will be this one, which will be on the card, and I'm going to pop it off the side of the cooler, so that way the card stays as 2-slot, right? If I pop it on the side of the cooler like this, card is still 2-slot card, and we have data reading on the side of the card. That's nice and convenient. It does look kind of horrible, but what you gotta do about that? And I'm going to put 10k ohm resistors on every single one of these, and that way I'm going to prevent this from, breaking your graphics card. Now there's one last problem I need to deal with, and that's that I don't have a ground line dedicated on here, so that's slightly awkward. Oh well, first things first, this is a Molex connector. I hate them, they suck, they're terrible. Like, look at how all these wires are wobbling, that sucks, doesn't it? So, first up, I'll glue all of those holes. Just fill them up with hot glue and keep the connector in. Actually, it's best if you first hook the connector up to something. I'm just gonna go get a, fan extension cable. I hook it up to one of these, that'll keep the pins aligned. There. This one's still loose, but it'll keep the other ones in check. So these two. And wait, this is only 3 wires. Why don't I have a single one of these which actually uses all 4 through? That would be great, wouldn't it? Oh well, we can just rip one out of this one. Probably. Yeah, these come loose on one of my old, on one Molex connector. Although they don't come loose so quickly on this one. Oh yeah, these are simple. So the thing that keeps a Molex connector together is literally just some metal clips, which quite naturally is relatively easy to overcome if you want to get the connector apart. Alright, oh yeah, that one's crushed. So now let's just crush the other one. Oh, see? Pulled it out like nothing. And then you obviously have to fix the clips again, so that it stays in this one. Length doesn't really matter here, because I'll be shortening these down a lot at the end of the card. Let's get it through, right, and it pops right through. That's nice and simple, so now let's get those clips working again. And I'll just do it with a knife, because they're kind of small to get under. Ouch. Whoop. And let's get the other clip out. Now that's the connector itself. Now, so these are really easy to take apart. It's convenient. Yeah, and unfortunately I'll be referencing ground from the freaking actual ground, probably, for the system on this, so I'll be reading voltages quite a bit off, unless I figure out a better connector for this one day. In which case I can fix this, but until that day happens, I'm going to be rocking with overkill voltage measurements. So yeah, there, and see, now it stays in. Won't pop out. So now let's hot glue all of these suckers into place. Nice thing still. Oop. Some hot glue in there. And missed. Ow, 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 fuck! Oh, fuck. I'm gonna have a blister from that. Oh. Oh, shit. My middle finger is really not having the last couple days. The last couple days for my middle finger really sucked. So first, I get it caught in the AMD stock cooler fan, which is why it has this little red, you know, right, there, see? That's why it's injured. And now I went to touch freaking 100-degree hot glue. Oh. Oh, that really sucks. Oh, and now it's solidified, that sucks more. So that connector's all blocked. I not have a blister. Please tell me I won't have a blister. Blisters suck more than the actual pain. Okay, looks like my finger's gonna handle that. Is it? Oh no, this is gonna be a blister. Yep, I lost sense of touch in that area. Great. Friggin' perfect. So let's just use the clamp to do this, because I'm not going to burn any more fingers today. Although, that's going to still happen, isn't it? Come on, move, damn it. I just need you to move. There we go. Is it moved enough? Probably not. Oh well, hopefully we'll still plug. There we go, they're now stationary. One of them was completely screwed up. And the freaking wire plastic melted. Oh, those are just leaves. There we go. Yeah, they're now all in place. Hopefully they'll stay in place properly now. And this one's screwed up. Oh well. Not much I can do about it now. Oh well, it's not too bad. See, it's just slightly off. You can't even tell on the stream. Now this just needs to dry out. Well, solidify, dry out. And then we can hook it up to the card. I really don't want to reference ground against ground. How can I pull a ground signal with this? Can't. There's no way I can do it. Okay. So this doesn't reach. So I'm going to put you on the yellow line. Obviously, it'd be nicer if all the wires had the same color, but... So, this needs... I'm doing the yellow white core, so that needs to be about that, and it'll be like... there. Actually, let's just glue that on right now. And I'll get this out of the way since that's basically finished. Let's get to the card. These resistors, I'm going to store them later. I'm not going to be reusing them, they're too much. That's why we were only getting 1.325 volts yesterday. Let's do that hot gluing. I'll just hot glue it right onto the side of the card. And where's the connector? There we go. I'm gonna, actually no, I'm gonna have it this way, with red first. And this is gonna look kinda horrible. And it's gonna slightly harm airflow, but whatever. There, I'm gonna put it lower down so that it hooks up better. Because there's more surface area there for the plastic. Some hot glue on this. Hopefully the cooler plastic can survive this. There we go. Now I even got the connectors aligned. So now that's your data connection. Actually, that wasn't the best idea I ever had. Oh well. At least you can read vCore off of this. So there's that. Can't pull ground from there, that's memory. So memory is actually really conveniently placed, so I can just hook memory up right up, easy. That's memory voltage. I think I'm going to put the voltage reading lines on the red connectors, and the two different voltage control lines on the yellow ones on the two other colors. There's not really a lot these things have in common with each other, so that's that. Actually, I could put the reading voltages on the same line. Barely not long enough. Oh well, so those resistors were too much last time. This time I'm going to use the same resistors. There we go, see? But yeah, this will be 2 slots only after this. And this is too short to reach 12 volts to meet the core. So yeah, and I don't need the ground connector any longer. So that pops right off because the soldering joint was again kind of crap. Because that pin doesn't have enough power to do that. And let's just hook up memory to this. And we need a resistor. Now, last time, if I'm not mistaken, I was using, let's get this up to 200k. Check that resistor. I think I was using a 50k ohm resistor in memory. Okay, so that's a 38. And you are, this should be a 5k. 10k. So that's a 38. So this time, 20k for memory, 5k for core. Because 10k was obviously way too freaking much. So here we have a 22k. We're going to be rocking those on the memory. And let's go find something smaller for the core voltage. 50k too much. 6k 8. 5k 6. This is about as close as I'm probably going to get. I'm just going to use that. Nice thing about this is I don't need anything incredibly precise, because these are just ceilings. Ceilings can be somewhat in the range of what I want. There we go. Now let's get this crap off. I don't like it there. Now that's going to take some time to get off. But as you're kind of beginning to, I think you're beginning to see the idea behind what I'm doing to the card right now, so I'm just going to smoothen this down here, because this doesn't look, it looks kind of weird, so I just decided I'm going to smoothen that out now. And just heat it up and flatten it out. Yeah. I'm probably going to have to wait for Touch Power Up to release PCB pictures now, because I managed to use up all of my, this, like, literally ruin this card to the point where I can't write a guide from what you can see on the card any longer. This is still tinned. Oh, well, if I had the resistor, no, I want to run this past here. Looks kind of okay-ish. I want to run this past. No, because that would suck. So I want to run that, side by side, and run this one down here, and then hook it up to core there. Yes, that actually looks okay to me. Yeah, wire management on a graphics card. Those are the 2 voltage lines. First I'm going to solder this together to memory. Which one's the 22K? Which one's the 50K? So, yeah, this is the 22. So I'll do the 22 first, since I still know what the 22 is. This strip. I hate stripping these higher AWG wires, because, well, if they're higher AWG, they're harder to strip. More material on them to pull off. Harder to pull off, and basically you need something really sharp to get through all of the rubber on them. So scissors it is. The pliers are only good for thin rubber, because they don't actually cut it any longer, they're too blunt at this point. There we go. And then this is just tin that, hook it up to the other one through the resistor. And then I'm gonna lay it down so that I don't risk touching anything too important, and hot glue it right like that to get it down to this 2-slot form factor that I want from this card. This is memory sensing. This is memory sense wire. This is core sensing wire. So I guess I can pull both of those down here, and we won't actually know. It won't look that good. But if this is mounted to the cooler, I can't. Oh well, this is going to be interesting. So I can't hot glue this on. Because obviously that would be a problem with the cooler, in that basically it wouldn't let you take the cooler off. That's not great. Can't mount it anywhere on the PCB though, because then it won't be a 2-slot card like I want it to be. I could try. No, I couldn't. So yeah, no. This is gonna be bad. Oh well. Crank up the heat, get my flux, finish this thing off already. This stuff's really hard to twirl, because it's so heavily multi-stranded. So many different strands of wire in these big ones. So, and even harder to tin. These take forever to heat up. I don't get it. Some of these metal plates tin just fine. The wires, nope, never tin fine. Okay, so memory voltage. So that means I need to attach this now, without burning myself. So let's trim this down a little. There we go. And there we go. Grab this. Solder this, right. There we go. Solder it on. That looks so bad. I don't think ever get a good soldering joint. Yeah, that looks mildly less horrible. Oh well. Not much I can do about it. Now it's up to looking into this one. Memory voltage control, so let's trim it down again. Not too short. Need more solder. And attach. There we go. I think a mosquito tried to have a snack out of me right now. That's pretty warm, but it's not too bad. There. So now this is actually sort of in form factor for the card. It's not optimal. We want definitely want some liquid electrical tape over that so that it can't short out with anything, but I don't have any on hand right now. That's coming later this week for the liquid nitrogen. That's one done. Let's do the other one. Here's this one, so again, strip the monstrosity. Hopefully this one will get better. There. Relax. Oh yes. There we go. All nice and tinned. Now, time for the tweezers. The tweezer this monstrosity one. Oh. Well, the cooler will still be dismountable like after this, but it's not going to be the greatest. There we go. So I just need that to that, so that means tweezers again on both ends somehow. Great. Wish I could just hold it like this and solder it. I wish I could have extra hands. Just need these to be like that. Oh well. Might have hot glued on, that'd be great. Could do it in a sec, but stop bending away from me. There. There we go. And hopefully I can solder it on before it straightens out too much. There we go. Okay, that was actually easier than I expected. The other ones don't need. No, they do, because I said I want to protect the card from somebody killing it, so that means I wanted to use 10Ks, but I have that old 10K. Like this is a 10K. Yeah, so I can recycle that one. There we go. And that's going to protect the card from anybody pushing the Molex connector in. And if you think I wouldn't do that, well, you're wrong. I would do that. I'm protecting the card, this card against me as much as anybody else who might use it. Okay, I'm not going to shorten those down since it's long and I don't feel like any more to it. And so, yeah, there we go. I just need to at least walk through the 10K. Where did the 10K go? Oh, there, under the card. Great. I need to. Now the cool thing about the sense wires is once you have it on a switch, you can just flip between them if you see that the voltage you're looking at is wrong. So I don't need to actually care, which is why they don't need to be color coded. Right? Because you see 1.2V, that's core. You see 1.6V, that's memory. If you're seeing 1.6V on the core one, then that's you're doing something really wrong, and it shouldn't even be possible. Because, well, actually now it might be since there's only 5K, but not gonna happen. Okay, so let's get both of those tinned and finish this monstrosity up. Now it actually fits in just 2 slots, so that's nice, but still, would really love to get my own proprietary connector for these. This kind of work, because using these Molexes is just wrong on so many levels. Ow, 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 ow. I just have solder like spray everywhere, so. Oh well. That doesn't usually burn you since the droplets are actually so small that they don't have enough thermal capacity to do any serious damage, but you know, it hurts. But it's not going to give you burns unless you're working with that thing, at which point the solder has like 600 something degrees because that thing isn't regulated and it just keeps cranking more power through itself till it hits whatever ridiculous temperature it goes to, and then it burns your hands off. I had a drop on a set of pants I had, and that drop stayed liquid for several seconds, which was kind of scary because I was getting worried if it won't burn through my pants and if it won't burn me, because pants didn't really matter. They were just some cheap, crappy pants from a Vietnamese shop, but the like, you know, it was a pretty big drop. I was kind of worried for myself there. Go. These ridiculous wires. There. I'll attach you. There. That looks kind of like it's holding a gun. But whatever. And I'll hook this one up to So, yeah. Last ones to do. Now, currently there's a little problem that this goes, actually no, everything is resistored, so really everything is completely safe once you put these 10Ks on everything. You could do some really stupid stuff with this card and it won't burn up. Chief among which is connecting a Molex connector to it. So, let's go. Finish this up. And hopefully, I'll be able to get 10K with this card after this in Fire Strike. Just regular, good old Fire Strike. Not the better edition. And I didn't tin this and now it doesn't want to work. Oh well, if you don't want to work without being tinned, then I'll just tin. Okay, well. So that's that one. I just need to do this, and I'll be done with the card end of things. And then I'll just need to make a cable to hook this up to the actual multimeter. So yeah. You know, I could very easily pull 12 volts. Like, if you wanted to do this yourselves, I would recommend just pulling your 12 volt power for that thing off of your graphics card. And then you don't have to worry about your ground being referenced against some other wire, which is what I'm running into here. And let's get this finished. Okay, come on. No, stay in position, damn it. That way. I wish I could like have these just clamp on and just stay clamped. That would actually work really well for me. Ah, there we go. That works. You've been soldered once before, so you should be tinned just fine. There. And that's this end of the card done. Now it just needs a connector so that it can hook up to the little panel that I built. All right. Alright, these all need to be pulled to ground as well. Oh. I mean, I can't just keep reusing the same old ground for everything, so... That works. Yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a dip switch. A little, just 2-channel dip switch, and that's going to be your on-off. It's going to be the on-off settings for the 2-volt multi. That's going to hit the ground from wherever I have it going. So it's just going to sit here, I think. And is it controllable? Okay, this thing is freaking stiff. One of the channels is at least. Would it work sideways? No, it wouldn't. So yeah, it has to be vertical. Isn't too bad. 1, 2, on. There we go. So Yeah, I'm going to tie the bottom together. That's going to go to ground here, which is also going to go to ground on the whole freaking thing, so let's see. I'm just going to crush these together. So there we go. Now both pins are basically touching. Tin them. And it's just one wire to do a whole lot of stuff. Now I wouldn't advise doing the things this way, but you know, this is the easiest way to get this done. So now I'll just wire this up and tin all of it. I really wish I could reference ground against the graphics card, but unless I get a bigger connector, or better connector, which I can't think of anything I can use, because VGA obviously has way too many connections. Ethernet, getting a port for that's a pain, so... Not use that either. There. Those are both nice and tinned. It's nice and tinned as well, and they're combined. So that works. Now it's just a case of pulling all of this to ground. And I'll do that by combining the so this will go to the Molex connector. Okay, so I need to add the next connector onto here. I think I'm going to use... Yeah, I'm going to sacrifice another wire from this one, and I'm going to use these. I'm going to pull this one off because this one's hooked up with 3. And nothing is color coded or anything at all, so that's great. And I'm just going to pull the black one off of this one. So this is really ghetto. But it gives you some idea of how you could build a, like, your own voltage controller for a graphics card pretty simply. And with, like, panel and everything, so it's kind of cool. Kind of convenient for, especially for liquid nitrogen use, or if you have a graphics card that's buried in your case. In those cases, this could work pretty well. Now hot glue all these suckers again. Use the vise. Boop, boop, boop. Whoa! Shit. Oh well, it survived. By the looks of it, it did. Yeah, none of the connectors came off, none of the wires came off, everything survived. It's completely solid state, so everything inside is still intact. It's all good, basically. I don't have to care about anything in there. Need this to cool down quickly. So yeah, this needs to just cool down. Yeah, that's all nice and solid. Great. So now we can just strip all of these and hook them up to the various connections that they're going to be serving. And that means they need to be same direction. I'm going to go get a Molex wire chain somewhere. Here. Should have one. That's not what I'm looking for. Not what I'm looking for. You're not either. There we go. I had an old OCZ PSU. PSU died. So I'm just going to use these. Does OCZ even make PSUs these days? I don't even know. They used to kind of be a big deal, but I don't know, I guess they just sort of disappeared. This is not quite long enough at this end to be convenient, but hey, it doesn't have to work right now, it just needs to, it's a proof of concept here. Yeah, I ideally want to replace this end with a Molex connector, but for now I'm just gonna, actually I could pop this one off. How much? I should have another one of these somewhere, so I can just put this one there. That's one wire. Second wire. And that's the last two wires. There. Now we have our connector to hook up data between the GPU. Right? And the controller. So this goes into the GPU. Now the important thing is that I get all the connections right. There. See? And this will just lead into this. That'll all make sense. So red goes to red, which goes to this black. And red goes to, and that's the first red, so that goes to core. So that's memory. This one's memory. So I'm just going to use a Sharpie to mark these out for myself. And that's control, so that will be M, P for memory pot, CP for core pot, and this one will be CV, core voltage? No. Core voltage is on yellow, so that means CV, MV. There we go. And that's all of them labeled, and now I just hook them up properly and everything's good. And actually the memory voltage and the core voltage, I didn't even need to bother labeling those. You know, never hurts to be extra careful. So, let's finish this off. And then I'll try start it up in a computer here. Probably on my main system, just to show you that it works. And we'll run some benchmarks with it, now that it's upgraded. Just to show that it actually does what I said it would do. Oh. Ta-da! That's off. You're off. I did not strip enough of this one off. Kind of inconvenient to work with wires these short on a connector like this, but oh well. Not gonna end my day. Not gonna cause any disasters. There. Unless we're freaking stiff. There we go. Turn them all. Now, I don't get, since it's on a separate table. How the hell did I get that thing? So yeah, tin them all, solder them on, and do some benchmarking with the card now that it's like in its final form almost. I'm saying almost because this is still like, I'd want a better connector that didn't need to sit on the... I mean, I could probably just move the connector right off the cooler and onto the card, but I don't feel like doing this at this point. I might do it in my spare time later. Because I just want to show you that this can work today, so yeah, and I might even get a different connector for that. I might figure out a better way to run the ground, probably. Might combine two connectors into something like semi-proprietary by adding some kind of little notch or something, I don't know. But basically right now this is just terrible. It's like breaking a whole load of regulations to build it this way. So technically this whole thing is against regulations since I'm using leaded solder. What on earth else should I be using? Lead free is a freaking pain to work with. There. That's all. Just 3 of them. Yeah, so next Sunday, liquid nitrogen on an 8320, maybe a phenom too as well. I'm not 100% sure if I'll do the phenom. Since these days doing a phenom on LN2, there's no real point. They scale well. They can hit up to like 7 gigahertz if you have a good one, but it just doesn't make sense since they don't gain a lot of voltage range. So core pop, memory pop. If I'm not mistaken, then well, I don't want to make a mistake again, so let's just check manually. What are you? This should be 50K. It's 21? What? Ah, this is the 55K. This is the 50K. This means memory. Memory control. Oh, this is awkward. Core control, memory control. So memory is like that. Core is like that. Oh, that sucks. And both of you can just go down here. Okay, so that's simple enough. Let's finish this control panel off. That's one. That's two somewhat. That's two properly. I should have had more wire for this. Putting extra strain on those connectors. Now at this point I can hot glue everything together because it doesn't matter. So now I'll do you. Just controller leads. Memory done. Or voltage. I'm just gonna bend this one to the side. Alright. Get better contact between them. Get a tad more solder for this one. And ta-da! Now we can hook this up to that and it'll do all our readings. We just need a ground wire. We just need to get the grounding on there. And also wire this up. So that means more hot glue. Where's the hot glue gun? Go. Actually, no, I don't want to hit this now because I'll be doing soldering really close on that. Right, so ground. So that means we need more wire. And we still have some left over from last time, so I'll just use that now. So this is plenty long enough. Right? Yep. See? And then I'm just going to run a jumper between the ground and the ground, which basically means I'm going to take this one and actually I'm going to figure out how to jumper this. I want to hook up the two grounds together, so that means I just need to shove an extra wire down one of these, which is actually kind of more complicated than it sounds. Let's go for a screwdriver. Oh. Now these are all tinned as well, so now it's just a case of getting this one. It's shorter. Actually, I'll probably... yeah, I'll trim this one down and use this one. I'll trim it down here. Now we're going a really short wire because I'm just jumping the two connector holes together. There's, so if you look at it, right, you have two grounds next to each other, and one of them is for voltage readings, so they're separated for that reason. I'm going to combine them. We're still running ground off the same power supply, and hopefully it won't be that inaccurate. It certainly won't be accurate. It'll be probably like 30 or 30 millivolts off, but nothing too bad for just a basic voltage reading panel. So let's go. Now, I want you to form together to be as seamless as possible. Nope, that's not seamless at all. There. That almost looks like one wire at the end. One fat wire, but still gonna fit. Hopefully. Let's see, loosen this as much as it'll go. Still too big. Okay, you won't... it does come right out. So now, just shove you down there. Oh, hopefully. It's way too freaking fat. Damn you, AWG12. Oh. Need to slim it down somehow. It's really hard because this bloody connector doesn't want to. Ow. Fucking ow. Same middle finger. Is there any way I'm getting this to slim down? Nope. Guess that's not happening. Oh, now this fell out. Well, what did I expect? Cheap construction. So, yeah, now the screw's still here, so that's good. So, oh go. Now this looks like it's built for way less power than what the wire I'm using for is built, so I think I'm just being overkill, so that's probably why. Yeah, this wire is completely overkill for these. Okay, well, let's downgrade the wire. So first, pull off the jumper. There. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip the ground wire a lot more, and then I'm going to start... Ah! Nope, didn't get Mr. Mosquito. Damn it. I'm going to cut off the end of the wire, strip it down a long way, thin it by chopping off some of the, you know, it's a multi-core wire, so I'm going to cut out some of the cores in it. I'm going to strip way longer than it usually should be, and then I'm going to solder further up the wire. Also going to trim out some of the cores. There we go. Okay, now we have a whole load of wire free. And I'm just going to go and crush off some cores. There. Twist it together first. Try to get it to its minimum size. I mean, I guess I could just use this at this point, where I just tin it, solder it, you know, finish it up, and then solder to the rear end of it. There. Yeah, tinning these big wires, I like to do it by shoving them right into the flux. There we go. All nice and tinned already. Just need to keep going over it so that all the flux evaporates. See, we have a very nice silver wire here. This will fit right into the terminal, and it's also easy to solder the jumper earlier onto it. I'll just pop the jumper on that, but first I'll also tin the jumper wire. Oop. This little wire, and damn it. There we go, now I can plug this in. That's plugged in. Now I can pull the ground to ground. There. And then I'm going to add this ground. And then I'm going to ground all of that crap. So I'm going to again attach the ground to where I attached the add-on wire. Hopefully it won't pop off. Okay, so that's actually a horrible mess of wires right now. Really awful. This is so amateur that it's just disgusting. Oh well. Easiest way to get this stuff done. Come on. Damn the wire. There. So now it has a reference for the ground for the voltage. It's not a good reference, but whatever. Now it has also going to be a reference for the ground for there we go. Now I just have to solder the other two on, and it's done. Well, I mean, attach these two stupid things, because this already is complete. Now I just need to hook those up to the grounder. So that means just a little bit more wire. Two more. It's just completely finished after this. I'm bent over too much sitting at this. Also, the chair I'm sitting on kind of sucks, so yeah, not the best for my back. Sit on chairs too much all day. How long ago should I make this? Pretty short and somewhat longer. There. And somewhat longer is really just barely longer. Okay. Time to finish it. This is a lot of soldering. Mosquito's back. Damn him. There we go. This one's up for tinning. Whoop. That much done. Damn it. This one tinned. There. This one's tinned as well. So now this one goes for this one. That one hooks to that one, hooks up to that. Then let's do this one. And it'll be finally finished. Mini voltage control panel with integrated multimeter. Well, not multimeter, voltage meter. There we go. These two together again. Ta-da. Done with tinning on that side. Tinning on that side, attached to this, you out of the way for now. Done. I just need to hook them both up to this little controller, to the little dip switch. That means I'm going to put the dip switch into position and hot glue it on. The bottom with a bit of hot glue, attach it. Under that. Stick glue. Boom. Done. Oh no, I got hot glue on my leaves. There we go. That's all done and hot glued. That'll stay in place now. Hopefully. That solidify. And let's hook up the switches. That's core. Yep, that's core. So core is going to be on number 1. And memory is going to be on number 2. Completed. The complete GPU little overclocking, well, voltage panel, I guess, by me. It still has no feet. I'm going to figure out how to put feet on it later, since those aren't that important. It's just going to be some hot glue and some feety thingies. Other than that, both pots are hooked up. Now I'm just going to check over that I hooked up the right things. Let's throw the card on a system and get it started. Let's check the pots are right. So this should be core pot. That's correct. Memory. Allow Mr. Memory pot. Mr. Memory pot obviously is 220. 258. That's interesting. Both of them are currently on. Right now I'm going to switch them off. And oh, it's the old ground wire. Pull it off. Okay, I'm going to take care of that wire later. Okay, let's go power it up on my main system and run some Firestrike. So if you've been watching my Facebook, you probably know that recently I managed to get the Fury up into the top 20 of the air-cooled graphics cards on Hardware Bot. Yeah, and I'm just gonna turn the system on and off, and just need to figure out what's going on. Turn it off. That was violent, but you know, it crashes so often that it doesn't make a difference. Oh, the Fury's gonna go. Pull the Fury out. Now this will be interesting. This little contraption actually works. Now it should work, but I don't trust it 100%, just in case all the volt walls are turned off for now. Let's get the card in. Here's the poor unfortunate patient, also known as the R9380 Nitro. If I had these wires managed against a connector that's on the PCB, then it would be a 2-slot card. Right now, not really. It's getting there, but it's not quite perfect. There. Now I'll just screw it in. Now this should just hit 10K right off the bat, because I finally tweaked the OS for this, that I use for all my benchmarking runs. It's finally tweaked. So, data line to data. So let's hook that up to the card. Obviously, this wire should be longer in the final version. It would be longer in the if I ever made a final version. This is very prototypey right now. And let's hook up a Molex connector, which you should have plenty of right down here. Ta-da! Found them. There. Just going to disconnect all the fans and hook it up to this. There. And now let's give it the card power. Card needs juice or card won't run. Also, I'm going to be getting a current clamp pretty soon, so after that I'll be able to do power consumption testing directly on the graphics cards and everything, so that should give me some interesting things to add into my reviews. Yeah, let's plug in HDMI and rock and roll. It's all or nothing now. And right now it should be set to memory voltage. I'll set it to core voltage. As you can see, core voltage. Now if we flip it, and memory's wrong. There is no way that's memory voltage. That connector's probably borked. No, overclocking did not fail. I'm just going to override this. I just force shut down the system. So memory voltage seems to be wrong, which is somewhat annoying, but core voltage seems to work. Let's check. I'm going to turn on the volt mods. Both of them are too high. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think this card has a... Oh, this actually shows up fine for you, but I can't see anything from this angle. Okay, wait. I'm gonna lower this. There. Why isn't Windows? Oh, right. Swap graphics cards. Motherboard hates working. Start this up, get into BIOS and fix it. It's really weird with the memory voltage though. That it's reading it wrong. 1.5. There, because the only reason why it would be reading the voltages wrong is if one of the connections was bad somewhere along the way. Which is a possibility, but I don't think I did anything outright wrong, unless I'm measuring the wrong voltage, in which case I'm an idiot. Start Windows normally. Man, I hate this motherboard. Well, not this motherboard. This motherboard's freaking excellent, but this system is just getting to the point where I'm starting to think it's possessed. Yeah. No, but at least one of the voltages works, so that's nice. I'm gonna turn on the volt mods, and I'm gonna try to change the memory voltage. So yeah, I need a proper ground on this. Currently it can only measure voltage, otherwise it doesn't really work. It still refuses to start Windows. I mean, at least it monitors the voltage. The memory is like, eh. Hopefully now it'll boot. Oh, now it'll start. Oh, goody. That's a memory error. So the idea with this is good, but obviously my execution is subpar. But you know, eventually I should be able to figure out how to have it working properly. I did get the 3960X back to 5 gigahertz. I finally figured out what went wrong with it. This graphics card really doesn't want to start today. Hopefully the LN2 session will go well. Which I doubt, but luckily with AMD on LN2, it's just throw LN2 on it and it'll work. With Intel on LN2, I'd be screwed because I don't have a thermometer that goes quite that low. Now it even refuses to do hover bubbles. I'm probably going to have to underclock the system a little bit. I really don't get why it does this. So yeah, I'm just going to pull the system down to 4.8 gigahertz and give it less voltage and have it start up. This should just start. This is really weird that these volt bombs aren't working. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna call it a day for today, since this isn't actually an official like mainstream and nothing's really working. Yeah, I was hoping to get the card working properly again, but apparently there's something still broken on this. So I'll figure out how that works. Why that doesn't work. I mean, not how that works. And yeah, I don't think anybody enjoyed this stream. I kinda enjoyed it. And yeah, it'll be up on YouTube though, because I don't see anything too bad about today's stream. So yeah, it'll be up on YouTube. This doesn't work, unfortunately. I really don't get why. Actually, no, I have some idea why. It's probably because the ground is completely set wrong. And basically it's probably just everything is to do with the ground. That's completely wrong. That's correct, somewhat. But as you can see, neither volt mod has any effect as far as this thing is concerned, or something is wrong with the readouts. So I can't even like run a volt mod with a multimeter right now, but let's see. I'm gonna aid it with a multimeter, because why the hell not? I'm just gonna hit it ground against ground again, against low ground, and I'm gonna hit it against core, I said, there. So yeah, first off, this thing is 10 millivolts down, or 15 or something. And neither of these sliders does anything. Obviously these don't work for some reason. I don't think the resistors that I put in between them and the stuff they're set to are too high. But doesn't work. And so for today, that's it. You can expect a review of the 78 LMT USB 3 motherboard soon. I'm not going to give you a date because I'm not 100% sure. Hopefully before September. Yeah, see, this is why I wanted to do this. All the vault mods are gone. And also, the card fits in its box again, and this fits with the card, so that's nice. So it has its benefits if the execution was correct. If I did it properly, this would have been like pretty much my ideal GPU setup. Which is why I wanted to stream this, because, you know, this would have been like cool to see, in my opinion. But, you know, it failed. I'm not too disappointed. I kind of did the job half-assed. I tend to do everything. But yeah, I'm going to figure out a connector. Once I figure out a connector, I'm going to get the ground and everything done properly. Because that's the main problem with this. This is not referencing its own ground. It's probably not working because of that. And we all know that the vault mod worked last stream. So I don't know why it doesn't work this stream unless I completely screwed something up. But it doesn't look like I did. So I'm going to pack this card up. Whoa, the lead pipes are off. Throw this motherboard into the junk. Came from. And I'll go back to. Yeah, but there is a stream on Sunday again. And I'll have liquid nitrogen that stream. And hopefully the 8320E won't be dead. And I'll be doing that stream on the 970 gaming motherboard. So that actually means I need to get that review done soon as well. Because that motherboard will otherwise die. Probably. And in the process, it will probably take my 8320E with it. And me being me, I'm broke. I can't buy another 8320E. So yeah, that motherboard's probably gonna die. I hope you all enjoyed today. Keep an eye on the Facebook, because I might be putting out some interesting things there, especially if the review for the 78 TUSV3, if I get through that quickly, which I should, because that's a gigabyte motherboard. I know the BIOS. It's a fun little board, probably, I hope. Well, if it wasn't a fun little board when I got it, it'll be a fun one when I finish with it. Yeah. And that's it for today. And today we're actually finishing at a reasonable time, so that was just 3 hours of not being very effective at doing what you wanted to do, but oh well. I won't be streaming another attempt with the well, I might be streaming overclocking of the 380. I will not be streaming another soldering, any more soldering of the 380, because obviously I just failed, not failed epically, but I did something wrong, and I think everybody has enough of my soldering skills, honestly, because they're not that amazing. And I don't think they make for an interesting show. So that's that. Yeah, watch the blog. Some interesting stuff up there. Soon, I hope. There. And I'm probably gonna go play with my 7870K now. So see y'all. That's it. End of stream. Now I need to go finish this.